Conversations Black people aren't ready to have.
Black people are not God's chosen people. We are no better than anybody else. And we're never going to overcome because we're all so busy trying to be like white people that we're not thinking outside of the box. And it's only until we actually do the opposite, literally the opposite of every single thing that we've been taught under white supremacy, that we will see real change in the world that not only benefits Black people, but it will benefit everybody. But we have internalized anti-Black racism so bad that we think that the only thing that's been holding us back is that we don't know about money. Oh, and that we don't work hard enough. Oh, and we need to stop being gay. Because even we think that we're so stupid that that's what's been holding us back all this time. And so our planet is going to swell up like a hot pocket in the microwave, and Black people are still going to be writing letters to our Congress people and hosting cryptocurrency workshops in the projects. We as Black people are the descendants of stolen capital, and to not Robin Hood the situation, to me, just seems like a missed opportunity. So that was a clip from the latest video on my YouTube channel, but I think it kind of applies to some of the stuff that I was saying in this video that you are talking about. First, actually, I'm going to start with the first thing that I said. Black people are not God's chosen people. And by that, I mean that we don't have any more or less divinity than anybody else. I think the suffering that we experience allows us to have and express empathy for other marginalized and oppressed groups. However, I don't think being Black makes you inherently a good person. Also, I don't think all of the suffering that we've experienced has anything to do with God. I think God will enter the picture for Black people if we actually start fighting back against the systems that put us in the place that we are in. And those systems are capitalism and white supremacy. But we are so locked into that shit that, yeah, God has nothing to do with any of this. Second point, we are no better than anybody else. Anytime Black people get into positions of power or where we can affect change for a lot of people and we have the ability to do that, we just end up doing the same thing that white people do. We're never going to overcome. This is one I was holding on to for a long time, but there's a part of me that's starting to give up. And I don't think that we as Black people are ever going to overcome because we keep thinking that the game is fair. You know how many Black people I've seen on TikTok talking about we got to vote for Biden again? I find it unfathomable, to be honest, that we as Black people still believe in this country. Because every time I've participated whatsoever in the election process or any of the rigmarole of politics, I've always kind of looked around like, do we really all believe this? Do we really believe in this? The mental illness that is so rampant in our communities as Black people that we have not addressed whatsoever. The PTSD that's just fucking passed on to each generation, just like, well, good luck. At no point have we as a people collectively stopped. It's just been work, grinding, surviving. Like at no point have we stopped and really just been like, we went through something traumatic. Let's figure out how to heal together. We've never done that as a people. We've been running a marathon physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in every alley that you can possibly have. We've been running a marathon. And we look around at each other, judge each other for being fucked up in the head. We expect the same level of Black excellence, and Black excellence is literally a bar that has been set by the same people who abused us. And it's an imaginary bar that in order to reach that bar, you have to exploit and abuse others the same way that you've been abused. The disappointment that I feel when I see that Black people don't understand what we've been through and how much wealth we have provided the world, especially when we say things like, oh, we should work harder. We're never going to overcome. We're just not. You know what I'm saying? We're going to play the game until we realize that the game is make-believe and we're the bad guys in the game. That's the game we're playing. It's not real. And the moment we all wake up, we can fucking make real change, but that's never going to happen because too many of us are invested in winning the floor is lava when we can just step down on the floor and walk out the door. It wouldn't be easy, but we've built civilizations before. We are so good at it as a people that other people have us do it for them for free. So that's my thinking on that. I'm sure, a lot of people are like, no, black people are gonna. No, we're not. Nope, we don't have the imagination for it. We have the imagination and the creativity for everything else, for everybody else, but we don't have it for ourselves. And I want to be wrong. I would love to be wrong about this. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but to be honest, there's a really great bright side to all of this. And that is that there's a lot of people who aren't lost in the sauce of capitalism. And those are white people and Asian people and Latino people and people of all races. I was hoping personally to see a black revolution, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't think a revolution is not going to happen. I just think it's going to be a very rainbow colored revolution. And to be honest, I don't think there's any other way that a revolution would have been able to be possible anyway. Some of the brightest minds on this app that I love to listen to and get new ideas from, and I've learned so much from, have not been black people. A good amount of them are black people, but I just feel like there are so many different kinds of voices that have so much to contribute to conversations that are progressive and that go beyond just, being individualistic and money hungry. So for the record, I think the future is bright. I just think it's going to look way different than for some reason I had thought it was going to look, because I really thought we as black people were going to kind of move together to, you know what I mean? And that's not going to happen, which is totally fine because there are so many non-black people that I love being in a community with. To be honest, I envision so many different things that it would be hard to put it all in one video. But essentially, as far as revolution goes, I imagine resistance being rest. I think resistance equals sharing resources. And I think resistance will also look like things falling apart. And I think that the way that things fall apart is going to force people to wake up in ways that they had not had to wake up, because they're going to have to think in ways that they never had to think before. And this goes beyond race. I think this is the people of every race are going to either be on one side of thinking in terms of trying to stick to the old way of doing things. And then on the other side, I think there are going to be people who are going to be able to adapt to the new way because they have to, and they are okay with that. When COVID happened, people had a little bit of a taste of what it feels like to not go to their 9-to-5s and to be able to actually explore their passions. It was kind of like a peek outside of the matrix a little bit. And revolution is not so pretty and organized for sure. But I think a lot of what revolution can be and maybe will be is people actually tapping into their superpowers, their personal superpowers, which superpowers does not exactly mean like flying or doing something that's spectacular. Sometimes it means, being able to cook or something that comes natural to you, or that your mind has the patience and your body has the ability to do. Many of us are working bullshit jobs that don't allow us to tap into our true potential. And we're doing it because we're desperate to keep the lights on and to, have food. Most people are not going to leave their 9-to-5s. They're too comfortable doing that. But if we were forced to, which is a very real possibility with a lot of the world events that's happening, what would we do? So, I think that revolution is going to be forced upon us for many of us. And the communities that people are going to form are going to be centered around their values more so than their race. And you're going to have to share the values of your community, or you are going to be a lone wolf. And lone wolves do not do very well in situations where people have to work together. So either way, my thought process around this is pretty vague. But the one thing that, I cannot say enough is that I don't think that people are going to voluntarily go into revolution mode. I think it's going to be thrust upon us. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been wrong before. I could be very wrong about this, but I think people are too comfortable to go out of their comfort zone and actually want change, because revolution is scary. Change is scary. Resistance is scary. And this is why I think it's so important to get into a mindset of communal thinking and trying to develop skills that go outside of these 9-to-5 jobs. Because what skill do you have outside of the matrix? Also, it's good to get outside of that greed mentality, because greed within a communal setting is not going to work. You will not have community. You will have to be a lone wolf if you're of this hustle grind. I'm trying to make more than everybody else. In this capitalist mindset thinking, it's perfect. But outside of this matrix, it's never been a good way to be. Not in the animal kingdom, not in the plant world. Nowhere in nature is being greedy good. So that's my very vague answer to your question, but maybe we'll find out in our lifetimes, maybe not. All I have to say to this comment is touche. And one thing that I really love that always happens is every time I do a video talking about something, I see an example of it going viral.
Me and my family are in Atlanta, and currently we are at the Real Milk and Honey. I got it. Let's try it and rate it 1 through 10.
Oh, Keith, if it could all be so simple. You see, Keith went to a restaurant in Atlanta, and apparently the restaurants out there have some issues with customer service.
As you can see, I don't have any bags in my hands. We're at the Real Milk and Honey on Main Street in College Park. Before we came, we attempted to call our order in. We were greeted with an automatic message that said they do not take call-in orders. The automatic message said the only way you can do pickup is through DoorDash. We went through DoorDash, they was closed. But online, it said they closed at 5 o'clock. We went on DoorDash at 4 o'clock, but we were already here, so we just went inside. I stayed in the car, and my family went in, and they told them they were closed early for deep cleaning. Yet the door is wide open, and it's people still going in and grabbing their orders. Now we have no idea if those people ordered beforehand or what the case is. Also, the people who relayed this message, my family said were really nice. It's just the rule.
Now, one thing that Keith has brought up is that he has social anxiety. I have social anxiety too. And so his description of the process of trying to get food from this restaurant, it sounds exhausting. For someone like me who just needs things to be as simple as humanly possible, I know personally, based on the rules of that particular establishment and probably of a lot of establishments in Atlanta, I'm not going to want to eat out a lot there. A huge part of eating out is about the experience. And for me, I don't care how good the food is. If the experience of getting the food makes me anxious, I'm going to avoid that place. So anyway, Keith goes into the restaurant. They recognize him and immediately offer to break all of the rules that they just recently were not going to break for his family. Keith, being the upstanding restaurant critic that he is, declines the offer because he's a good person. But he's also declining this offer because he's providing a service. In order for his opinion about how this restaurant treats customers to hold any kind of weight, he can't be given any special treatment. And I think this is something that a lot of the restaurants are not understanding, because this happens to him a lot. Anytime he's recognized, people are trying to give him stuff for free. People are trying to sway his opinion of them on the basis of giving him special treatment. So anyway, he declines. And, you could imagine, despite the fact that he gives all of these disclaimers all over, that video.
Always do. I don't mean no harm. I don't have no malicious intent. But I always say I'm going to be 100% honest. And that come with the good and the not so good. You don't know what nobody going through. So what we can't do is just judge off of somebody else's experience. If you would like to go to these places or any other place that I've been to, I encourage you to go try it for yourself and make your own opinion. But we still in Atlanta. And
so, he's pretty much doing his Keith thing, making sure that people know that this is his personal opinion. This was his experience. Don't use it to, bash the restaurant. These are human beings. Yes, he's a food and restaurant critic, but he's keeping it human. Now, let's talk about this restaurant and how they are reading from the white supremacy playbook, doing everything that I pretty much talked about in my video.
Did you see this Keith Lee video about the Real Milk and Honey?
And who is this Keith Lee?
So this is the restaurateur's response after getting very fair criticism of his establishment. And I understand that they're trying to be funny and just kind of, I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest, but check out the pipe. Look at the lavish, backdrop. This is Black excellence, y'all. Keith Lee has more than 14 million followers on this app. He has over 1 million on Instagram. I don't know how many he has on Twitter, but this man has a huge following because he's literally doing the opposite of the white supremacist playbook. He's not being snobby. He's not giving out special treatment. He's not being unfair to some people and fair to some people. He's thriving. Keith Lee is thriving on the basis of going in the opposite direction of white supremacy. Also, when you really think about it, they're not even doing white supremacy right. This is a terrible imitation. It's like a child's crayon drawing of a rich person. Like, we really need to heal as a people. We really, really do. We've never had a chance to really stop and take inventory. Because if we did, I think we'd recognize that we are in a prime position to be able to do the opposite of the thing that everybody hates. And in the case of these restaurants, not only would the customers win, but the proprietors would as well. A win-win is better than I'm going to exploit you, treat you like a trick, have you limping away while I'm shoving my back in my pants. Nobody wants to feel like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we as Black people, we're not, for some reason, as soon as we get an opportunity, we decide that we want to out-oppress the oppressor. Afrofuturism is a state of mind. It's not about looks. The future is going to be about a state of mind. And some of us are going to get it, and some of us are not.